Oh my god, this is so good. Wow. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another video of BOOKMAS. If I'm not mistaken, this is going to be video number 10 that we'll be doing. And that's insane that we've already done 10 videos this month. Honestly, BOOKMAS has really kept me motivated and consistent, and I'm honestly very proud of myself that I have uploaded every second day, and now we're almost to the end of BOOKMAS. After this we will have only 2 videos left to do. I'm so glad I decided to start this series on my channel because it's honestly been the best thing that I could have done for myself and for the channel. Having said that, today's video is going to be an end of the year book tag. I browsed a couple of questions that I wanted to do for this video, and I've noted down a couple of them. So we're gonna go over them one by one, and then I'm just gonna answer the questions for you guys. So keep on watching. So let me just get a little bit comfortable, and then we're gonna start. I have to have my bookshelf here with me for this video because I will constantly need to be referring to books, and it'll be easier for me to just turn around, see what book I'm talking about, and yeah, let's just dive right into the video. So the first question is, what is the most disappointing read or book of the year? Okay, starting off strong. The most disappointing read of the year. That's a little bit of a tough one because I've had a great year in terms of books. I've read such amazing books this year that I can't even, off the top of my head, I can't even think of a book that disappointed me. Let me think. Actually, 2 books come to mind now that I'm thinking about it. The 2 books that I read, which were not, they weren't bad, but I expected a bit more out of them, hence they were disappointing. So the first one that I want to talk about is The Striker by Anna Huang. Look, I love Anna Huang. I love her entire Twisted series. It's one of my favorites, but Striker for me didn't go that route. Like, I expected something different from Striker. There were 2 main reasons for that. Firstly, the MMC was, he was too nice for me. He was too much of a goody boy for me to, like, looking at her past MMCs, I was expecting a bit more like of a bad boy sort of a guy, but this one was a bit too sweet for my liking, and that's a very personal choice, and that's completely okay. But still, the book wasn't bad, the storyline wasn't bad. The second reason I didn't like the book was I felt that the entire book was a bit stretched. It was a romance book, a simple romance book, and it was like about 500 something pages, almost 600 pages if I'm not mistaken. However, I felt that this book could have ended in 300 pages. I feel like it was just dragged for no apparent reason. The beginning felt very stretched to me. I got very bored in the middle of the book. It started off really well, don't get me wrong, and the ending was also not bad. However, I feel that middle part could have, honestly, it could have just been like a 300-page book, and it would have been as enjoyable, if not more. So I feel that one was for me a little bit disappointing in that sense. However, having said that, the storyline wasn't bad. I did like the book, but it just could have been way shorter. The second one I want to talk about is this book called A Game of Whales by Eva Chase. I did read this, I think, back in August or September, I think, I'm forgetting, but around that time, and I had seen a lot about this on social media. It's a reverse harem, and it was meant to be very spicy, very engaging, very fast-paced, and I heard that it was a really good book. So I picked it up. However, I just didn't connect with it. I didn't connect with the characters. I didn't connect with anything in that book, honestly. For me, I would have almost DNF'd it, but I'm a little OCD that way, so I was like, okay, let me see, maybe it gets better towards the end. But honestly, I just felt like it was too long, too stretched. There was no connection from my side for the characters. I had no emotions towards the characters, even though it's supposed to be like, basically the storyline was that this woman, she's married off to she's engaged to the to-be prince of her kingdom, and the prince and king are known to be very ruthless. So when she reaches the capital for her marriage ceremony, she realizes that she's not the only one. There are like a bunch of women there, and they have to undergo these trials, and from them the prince will select someone to be his future bride. And I thought it's gonna be like exciting, I will be on the edge of my seat. However, it just felt very like I wasn't able to really like feel a lot of emotions from her side, and also I feel the connections between her and the MMCs were not built upon, and they weren't deep enough for me to be like, oh okay, like I'm feeling some sort of feels, I'm feeling some sort of emotions. No, I was like, okay, cool, next. So it didn't really connect with me, and that's okay. Like maybe it connected with some of you, and that's completely fine. That's why I say reading is always subjective. But yeah, for me these two were the most disappointing reads of my year. Moving on, what was an underdog book or books? Okay, an underdog book. Okay, so the first book that comes to mind is actually two books. They're part of the same series. There's the Sapir series by Saoirse Ray. She wrote The Cerulean Truth, and then she wrote a sequel to that called Silver Tears. Both books were so good. They quickly became my entire personality. The way it was written, the plot, the characters, the atmosphere, everything created was top notch. I loved it. I've spoken a lot about this on my Instagram as well, if you do follow me there. And honestly, one of the best books I've read this year. These are indie books that she published, and honestly I think they deserve so much more hype. And they're basically fast-paced romanticities, and I love that. I love a good romantasy, like a book which is well written. I love it. It had a lot of slow burn. It had a great magical system, which is very, very unique, and the world building was great. So it was basically set in the contemporary world, which is also very different from what I'm used to reading, but it was so good. Like initially I thought I wouldn't connect to it that much, but oh boy, I was really mistaken. It was so well done. Everything in that book was like 5-star, 5-star, and I feel I gave Silver Tears 6 stars, and it's part of my God tier series, this entire series, because like you have to read it to believe it. Like I feel this book deserves so much more recognition. More people need to be talking about this. More people need to pick up these books because they're that good. The third question is an overhyped book you read. Don't kill me, I'm gonna put this disclaimer out there again that reading is very subjective. What I may connect with, some of you may not, and vice versa, and that's completely okay. So I read the Powerless series this year, and I was very excited to pick it up because I'd heard so much about it, so much about that entire series. And when I say I'd heard so much about it, I meant like every second reel on my Instagram was about Powerless, Reckless, Fearless, all about Kai, Payden, Kit, everyone. However, even though I did love Powerless, and Powerful is one of my top 10 reads of 2025, I just did not connect with Fearless. Fearless left me feeling like very dissatisfied with the entire experience. The world created in Powerless was so good. The relationship between Kai, Payden, everything was done so well, and even Powerful, I feel it got so many emotions out of me. And even Reckless for that matter. I love the whole friends to enemies to lovers angle in it, and the tension between Kai, Payden, and the yearning between them was done really, really, really well. So kudos to the author for doing that. However, coming to Fearless, I felt like the sort of narrative and the plot sort of just switched and just didn't go where I expected it to go. I didn't connect with that storyline at all. In my head, it was supposed to be something else, and it turned out to be something completely different, which is okay. But I personally did not connect with that storyline at all, especially Kit's storyline and how his background and where he was coming from went on to become. It just didn't strike the right chord with me, and honestly I was left feeling very, very dissatisfied with that book. Again, the writing wasn't bad, everything was great, the characters were great, but I felt like that plot over there could have been much more. It just, or maybe they should have just stopped at the end of Reckless. I feel like Fearless was just not needed. Personal opinion. Okay, a book that surprised you. Thinking. A book that surprised me. I am not much of a thriller reader. I do read it very occasionally, like it's like a palate cleanser in between all my high fantasies, and I'm looking for a quick read or I'm looking to get out of a reading slump. However, I did read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder this year. I know I'm very late to the game, but that book really surprised me. I thought it's going to be like a very kiddish sort of, like a young adult. It is a young adult novel, however I thought it'll be more kiddish, childish, and I expected it to be more of a childish read. However, it turned out to be so good. Everything in that book was amazing. Pip and Ravi's relationship was amazing. The way Pip handled the entire scenario was amazing. Plot twist at the end, oh my lord, I didn't see that coming at all. Honestly, throughout the book I felt like I was on the right track. I was like, I know how this book's gonna end, I know who did it, I know who killed her, but I was like, what is this plot twist? Oh my god, it blew my mind. So I would say that book surprised me the most of all. So the next question is a fave book couples of the year. Now that is a good one. Honestly, I read about 60 approximately books this year, and I have a lot of book couples that I loved. But off the top of my head, I loved Johnny and Shannon, and even Joey and Aoife. They were some of my top favorites. The relationship between them, top notch. The yearning, the banter, the tension, loved it. I also, let me see, of course, Violet and Zayden. How can I forget Violet and Zayden? I did read Onyx Storm in January when it came out, and oh my god, they're one of my favorite book couples ever. I'm sure you guys have heard about Fourth Wing, and I feel like no couple can top that for me, at least. And I'm so excited for the fourth book to come out because I know Rebecca has said that Zayden's gonna enter his villain era, and I'm very excited. Like, I'm a little scared, but I'm also at the same time very excited to experience that. Okay, another favorite of mine is Kai and Payden from the Powerless trilogy, which I just mentioned. Wow, that relationship was so well done. I feel like Kit was just an outsider. Kit pissed me off. Kai and Payden were meant to be in game, and just their banter, the slow burn, the yearning between them, the enemies to lovers angle, oof, it really, like, it was so well done, and I loved both of them. How can I forget Helena and Kane? They were also one of my top most favorites. That's a love story for the ages. I feel like that was a romance done so well. The love that they had for each other and the kind of sacrifices that they made for each other, like, I feel like you don't see that anywhere these days, whether book couple or not. They definitely do deserve a top spot on this list, and I feel like I may be missing out on a lot more, but off the top of my head, this is what comes to my mind. Next question is favorite main characters of the year. My most favorite main character of the year that I read about was Helena Marino. I loved her. Like, I loved her character, the way it was written, the kind of things that she had to go through, what all she did for her love, and the most selfless kind of person that I've ever read about, who always thought of others, and the strongest FMC that I've read about. Honestly, the favorite main characters, only ones that are coming to mind. I love a strong FMC. I've said this so many times, like, a strong FMC is what will draw me into the book. So I also want to mention another one. It's Emma from Cerulean Truth and Silver Tears by Saoirse Ray. She was so strong, so fierce, independent, could take on the world vibes, and I loved that. I loved her character. I feel her character has also been written really well, and she's very inspiring. And the third one that I want to mention is Diana from the Book of Azriel. Again, a very fierce FMC, a very fierce person, independent, dark, morally grey, and those are the best kind of characters that I love to read about. So yeah, these are the ones that I think are standing out in my head. These were some of my favorite main characters that I love to read about. The next question is favorite secondary characters that I read this year. The one girl comes to mind. Again, it's female. and it's Adina from Powerful. I feel like, wow, her storyline blew me away. Her character, the way she was to Payden, the kind of friend she was to Payden, what she meant to Mac, and just her entire personality just drew me in. Such a soft, sweet, tender girl, but also wanting to do right by her friend, and also wanting to be there for her boyfriend Mac. And she had so many dreams, so many ambitions, so many things that she wanted to do, but obviously life had other plans for her, and that's, I don't want to cry, I just cry thinking about her storyline. But she was one of my most favorite secondary characters ever to be written. I mean, favorite secondary characters that I read this year really touched a part of my heart, not gonna lie. So next one is a new favorite author you discovered this year, and my most favorite author that I discovered this year was Saoirse Ray. She's the one who wrote the Sapier series, Cerulean Truth and Silver Tears, that I just spoke about. I'm so happy that I got to read her books because I feel like I will read anything that that woman writes. She's so good with her writing, her little quirky, like, you know, those quirky snippets all around, and just the banter between the main characters. And I feel like everything in that book was done so well, so I feel like she deserves this so much. Senlin Yu was another one. I loved Alchemize, and I feel like I will read whatever she writes again. That book was my top favorite read of 2025 for a reason, and wow, like, I bow down to her. She was so good. She did so well. Next one is an author that didn't work out for you. Honestly, as I said, I did read a couple of great books this year, and nothing comes to mind when I think of this question. However, I will say, I spoke about The Game of Whales by Eva Chase, and Eva Chase is, like, I feel like her writing just didn't connect with me. She wasn't able to make me connect with her characters, so I feel like I will maybe say that I don't think I'll end up picking up the rest of the series, because it is a series, A Game of Whales, and I don't think I'll end up picking up the rest of the books in that series. That's not to say that the story was bad, but just me personally, I didn't connect with that storyline or with the characters at all. So, okay. So the next one is the happiest book that you've read this year. I have one. The happiest book that I've read this year is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. What a great book. Like, wow. I love that book so much. It evokes such cute butterfly feelings in me. Done so well. The magical realism aspect done so well. Didn't expect that to be done really well, but it was done really well. The relationship between Clementine and Ivan, or Ivan, however it's pronounced, chef's kiss. It just left me feeling very happy, very satisfied, and in a great mood. Okay, so the next one is, what was the saddest book that you read this year? The saddest book I read this year was Alchemized by Senlin Yu. I read that book back in the beginning of November, and I feel like I'm still recovering from it. Whenever I sit down to voice my thoughts about that book, I'm unable to do so because I still am processing whatever happened in that book. I get goosebumps. I literally get goosebumps thinking about it. So honestly, I cried while reading. Like, I think I almost cried throughout while reading that book. It was so good. But yes, that is the saddest book that I read this year. The next one is most frustrating book that you read this year. I have one. The most frustrating book that I read this year, maybe God of Pain by Rina Kent, even though it was a great book and I love God of Malice and God of Wrath and God of Ruin from the bottom of my heart. However, God of Pain just felt again very stretched, and I was very close to DNFing it in the middle. Didn't connect with Creighton and Annika's characters much. I didn't connect with their pain. I didn't connect with their trauma, and I just felt like a lot of those things were very unnecessary, and the book was completely stretched, and I was very frustrated while reading that book because I just wanted it to end. So I will say that is the most frustrating read of my year. The next one is an unpopular book that you love, that you read this year. An unpopular book there. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It's Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. It's right up there on my shelf. I know there are a lot of mixed reviews on this book and a lot of people didn't like it. I quite enjoyed that book. It's very dark. Again, trigger warnings. Please check your trigger warnings. And if you're not into those kind of things, please don't read it. But I don't mind these kind of things. I like reading about these things, and I definitely enjoyed that read this year. I was supposed to pick up the second part, Hunting Adeline, also, but I just didn't have the time. So I will probably be picking that up in 2026, and I'm quite excited about it. However, I know it's quite unpopular on social media, but I still enjoyed that book a lot. Okay, a book you haven't stopped thinking about. There are so many that I haven't stopped thinking about. Off the top of my head, Powerful by Lauren Roberts ruined me, destroyed me. Ending of that book killed me. I cry still thinking about it. So that's one. Second one, of course, is Alchemist, because I feel like I'm still processing it. I think about that book every day. I kid you not. I wake up, I think about it. When I go to sleep, I think about it. I'm constantly thinking about it. So that's another one that I couldn't stop thinking about. A book you thought you'd love, but you didn't. So the book that I thought I'd love was Funny Story by Emily Henry. Honestly, I think I had just heard so much about that book. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone loves Emily Henry, and this was the first ever Emily Henry that I picked up. And for me, it was just a regular romance book. Like, it didn't match the hype that was created on social media about it. I expected so much more. Like, the way people were talking about this author and her writing and the feelings that her books convey, I just didn't feel it. Like, it wasn't a bad book. It was a great book. I would still read all her books. I would still love to read more books by this author, but it wasn't exceptional. Like, 7 Year Slip for me was an exceptional romance read. This one just didn't evoke that kind of feeling in me. It was regular, cute, wasn't bad. The characters were cute. The romance was great, but it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. And the kind of hype that this book got, I expected out of the ordinary. So yeah, I would say that was a book that I thought I'd love but didn't. Okay, the next one is book with the most unique concept you read this year. Again, I have to mention Cerulean Truth and Silver Tears. Great concept, great magical system, great world building. So I felt that was very, very unique. Honestly, guys, if you have not read these books, I would definitely recommend that you check them out. They're available on Kindle Unlimited, and honestly, it's going to be the best time of your life. Like, I'm so glad I picked these books up, and I feel that's the best part about this community is, like, you get to read so many new authors and new books that you may love or may not. However, I got lucky. I loved these books. I loved the author. I loved whatever she writes. She also has this newsletter which she does like send out quite often, and I just love reading that as well. Like, her writing is so good. It just engages you in, it catches you unaware, and honestly, I love everything that she writes. And I felt like the entire concept of those two books was very, very unique. It's not like anything that I've ever read. Like, I couldn't compare it to any other book that I've ever read. So I feel, yeah, that is the one I would pick for this one. Also, 7 Year Slip was also a very unique concept. The whole magical realism aspect of slipping in time and meeting your present people in the past 7 years ago. I think it's a super unique concept, and at least I haven't read any book like that. So yeah, that's also another pick for me in this question. Book that I would reread that I read this year. So many. I feel like I would definitely reread Onyx Storm, which I am planning to anyway before the 4th book comes out. I'm going to reread that entire series. So that is definitely number 1 on my list. I can read that book again and again and again. Like, it won't... Like, I feel like I can never get my fill of that book. So yeah, that's the book that I would reread over and over and over again. The next one is my reading goal reflection. So when I started off this year, I really wanted to get into reading more books and keep myself accountable, because I am that sort of person. Like, even though I want to do things, I get very distracted and I will procrastinate everything. So having goals really helps me stay on track, and having plans really helps me to do the things that I need to do. So at the beginning of the year, I had told myself that I would at least read like 60 to 70 books, and 70 was my book goal for the year, because I didn't want to take it too like make it too unrealistic, but I also wanted to push myself at the same time. So I felt like 70 was a good place to, start and keep myself accountable. Currently I'm sitting on 60 books, and we have about two weeks or so left. I don't know whether I'll be able to finish that goal or not, but I'm still very proud of myself for reaching 60 books at least. That's so many more than I did read last year, and I'm glad that I picked up so many different books from different genres this year as well. Uh, Honestly, I didn't want to also box myself in and say that, okay, I have to read, so just for the sake of reading I'm just gonna like flick through books. I didn't want to do that, and I'm glad I didn't. I read at my own pace. I read uh, you know things that I wanted to read, and yeah, so I think that is the point of a reading goal, to sort of slightly nudge you in the right direction. Like, I wanted to fill my days rather than doom scrolling. I wanted to, sort of replace that time with reading, and that's exactly what I feel like I did this year, and I'm very, very happy and proud of myself. For next year, however, I think I will increase this goal maybe to 100, because 70 is something that I kept almost, I think, when I was starting out in June, when I started my Bookstagram in June. So I think since we have now the first 5 months also of 2026 to consider, uh, I think we can do 100 books next year. That's gonna be my goal for now, but we're gonna see how that goes. Again, I'm not gonna strictly adhere to it, but it'll definitely push me to sort of stop wasting more time and pick up the books that I want to read. And yeah, next one is a book you wish you got to this year. Okay, there are so many books that I wish that I had read this year. The first one being Dune. I really wanted to read that book this year. I even started it, I think, a page or two, but I just got distracted, and it's actually kind of a little bit of a complicated read. So I really wanted to give it my all and focus and read it properly, rather than just like skimming through it. And I feel like that's the kind of book that really takes your time, because the words are a little bit complicated, the writing is not that easy to get through. So that is one book that I'm definitely going to be picking up next year. Another one that I really want to pick up next year is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I've heard so much about this. I've heard, like, if you like Fourth Wing, and if you're a fan of ACOTAR and all of that jazz, then you would enjoy this book. And so many people have told me to read this one, so I definitely will be checking this out next year, 100%. Oh, another one that I definitely will be checking out next year is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I was supposed to start this in the beginning of the year, but obviously life had other plans. But I will definitely read this next year. Very, very excited to read her books, and excited because I've heard so much about it. I also want to pick up Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil. Again, a read that I was supposed to finish this year, but obviously I couldn't, which is okay. I'm gonna put it aside for next year now, and I'm definitely gonna probably pick it up in the beginning month, like probably in January of 2026. Also, because January 2026 doesn't have too many releases, I think, that are coming out, or too many anticipated releases for me at least that are coming out. So I will probably finish all my backlog in January, and February onwards I will be excited and ready to go for all the new releases that I'm looking forward to. What will you prioritize reading next year? I will prioritize reading a lot more romantasy, a lot of high fantasy, a lot more dark romance, because I feel like I wanted to read so much more this year, but I never really got the time. So I'm also not going to be leaving series unfinished, because that just bothers me, and I feel I never really go back to them. Take Throne of Glass, for example. I read the first 5 books. I loved them, and I was like, no, this is getting over too quickly, and I wanted to prolong it, and it's been like 6 months later and I still haven't finished the last 3 books. So I don't want to do that for 2026. I want to be able to finish. If I start something, I want to finish it. I'm not going to be leaving series unfinished. I'm going to probably pick them up back to back, finish them off. I also want to prioritize some different genres next year. Not like thrillers, but maybe more of like historical fiction and like period dramas. I'm very into those kind of things. They interest me a lot. So probably like Gone with the Wind was such a great book. I read it when quite a while back, so maybe I'll do a reread of Gone with the Wind and stuff like that. Like, that stuff really excites me. And I also want to pick up and read a lot of these young adult fantasy books, which I probably missed out on reading while I was younger. So Hunger Games, books by Cassandra Clare, like the Mortal Instruments series, which I'm planning to start the first book before the year ends. So hopefully I will be doing that this year, but I will pick up the rest of the series next year. And I also want to read books by Leigh Bardugo. So both her series, I think, the Grishaverse, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to read that as well. So these are the things I would want to prioritize. Yeah, so that's about it. That's all that I have for you today. And it's crazy to think that we've almost reached the end of BOOKMAS 2025. Time has just flown by so quickly this year, and I have 2 more videos for you guys that I will be doing. One is going to be like a week in my life during BOOKMAS, so everything that I get up to during BOOKMAS. And the other one that I'm also filming a reading challenge for you guys. I'm doing the random wheel generator picks the number of hours that I will be reading in a day. So those are being currently filmed, and those will be the last 2 videos of BOOKMAS for this year. Very excited about those. And yeah, probably after that I'm going to take a little break, maybe do like one or maximum 2 videos before 2025 ends. We'll try, we'll see, because I definitely do need a break post this series. So yeah, very excited about that, and I'll see you guys for my next video. Bye.